Hey, class. We're going to look today at the treaty story, how Minnesota became a territory, how the U.S. government got this land from the Native Americans. So, as you know, the Dakota and the Ojibwe were the major tribes in the area. There was another tribe in southeastern Minnesota called the Ho-Chunk or Winnebago. Um, we know the Native Americans and how they lived, hunting, fishing, gathering, doing the things that we've learned in the previous chapters. In the 1700s, other European people started to show up in the area, in late 1600s too. Um, the fur traders, though, they weren't looking to own the land. They were just looking to make money in conjunction working with the Native Americans. So things at the beginning were fairly good. There were some bad things going on, of course, but I'm not going to get into that at this point. So, moving on here. Explorers from Europe charted the area on their maps. France laid claim to part of Minnesota. England did. Spain was part of the United States. I don't know if they were this far up here or not. But as those countries were warring with each other, they were trading the land that these Native Americans are on. So France might have gone to war with England and won a war and gained some land. And then England would have another war with Spain and win some land. All the meanwhile, the Native Americans are here just being kind of, I don't know what the word is, shoved around basically. The Europeans didn't consider them as nations as we think of them today, as nations that we've learned about in the past. Moving on. So in 1805, the Native Americans in the area that became Minnesota agreed to make concessions of land. They started to cede, C-E-D-E, cede their land through treaties. Land was ceded through treaties, which were agreements between two sovereigns, the Indian nations and the United States government. In 1805, we are the United States now. It's not England, it's not France, it's not Spain. It's the United States having this part of the continent. By 1858, when we became a state, almost all of those lands in Minnesota had been ceded through treaties. So back in 1805, the Dakota ceded 100,000 acres of land at the intersection of the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers. We learned in another video about Zebulon Pike. He came up and noticed this spot at Bedote. You can see this little tiny rectangle down in that area. This is one of the areas that Zebulon Pike wanted. Pike himself valued the land at $200,000. Back then, that's a ton of money. At the signing of the treaty, you read in the book that, or you will read in the book, that the total value of gifts he gave came to about $200, and then later the United States Senate approved the treaty and paid only $2,000 for the land. So it was worth $200,000, but the United States said, we're just going to give you $2,000. Kind of a raw deal, very much a raw deal, not kind of. The thing was, the Native Americans, most of them didn't read English. They might be able to understand it when it's spoken, but to read the treaty was a different thing. So they had to rely on interpreters, one of those jobs we've talked about before. But these interpreters were paid by the U.S. government, and it wasn't always interpreted exactly as it was written. You will see in the painting at the start of the chapter, that treaty signing, there's lots of things going on there that were kind of under the table, so to speak. Deals being made, having people sign, like the treaty for this one, only 2 chiefs actually signed out of 7 or 8, and they still accepted that. So a lot of Dakota people were against it, but it still sold because 2 people signed it. Lots of things going on like that in the United States history with Native Americans. We'll see you next time. Thanks.